Welcome back for JOJ again, and sorry for the little bit of mix-up. We decided not to do the first Sunday live because they've been a disaster.
They have.
They really have.
And you were going to be in New York.
Yeah.
And, well, of course, I was here, so.
Yeah, and at a rodeo again.
Yes, at a rodeo.
Yeah, so we decided let's just axe that.
Surprise live.
We'll do a live. Yeah, we did the live there end of July. So, would you rather questions?
Mm-hmm.
How many are we going to do?
We'll just do 10.
Do about 10?
Yeah.
Okay, so.
I only read the first, one or two.
Okay.
Just to make sure.
Just to make sure that they work, as the paper says.
It says clean.
Clean. Would you rather questions? I think that is something you need to specify,
yes.
Apparently.
It is.
So, would you rather only wear one color each day or have to wear 7 colors each day?
7 colors
so I
is
guess
a lot.
Solid, top to bottom. So like I'm in a blue shirt, I'd have to have on blue shorts, blue socks, blue shoes.
You don't match either.
No, but they can't see my shorts.
I would, thinking of it that way, I think I would probably do 7 colors. 1 color each day would get probably boring, I feel like. Would you rather be poor with lots of good friends or rich with no friends?
Oh, I'd rather be poor with lots of good friends.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty
good
easy
friends
one.
hard to come by.
Yeah.
Would you rather it be hot all the time or cold all the time?
I know what your answer would be. I like cool weather.
Well, I
don't like
not
cold
want anything
weather.
cold. I want hot.
Like 40. 40 or 50, I'd rather that.
Would you rather have to eat all of your food hot or all of your food cold? Well, you would think hot, but what about cold foods?
Yeah, like a hot salad.
Like hot apple.
I'd rather have
I think
cold steak,
would be,
cold pizza, cold chicken. All
you can do all that stuff cold.
Yeah.
Would you rather have a head the
size and shape of a baseball
or a loaf of bread?
Baseball size head, about like.
You pick a baseball. I'm gonna pick a loaf of bread.
Like that, or a loaf of bread, about like.
I'm going for a loaf of bread. I was thinking straight up and down loaf of bread. Would you rather never open your eyes or never open your mouth?
Mouth. Well,
sure.
but you gotta eat.
Oh. Well, that's too technical.
I'd be good without talking.
Yeah. I'd be good if some people wouldn't talk. Not you.
Thanks.
You know who I'm referring to.
I do. Thanks.
Her own offspring. Probably actually 2 of them.
Yeah.
Would you rather have no fingers or foot-long toes?
I almost have foot-long toes, so I'm
good.
Yes, you need your fingers and long toe. Hey, I'll tell you, from first toe experience, long toes are helpful. I can pick stuff up with them.
Catch bass with them.
I can almost tie a knot with them. Long toes
That
are good.
Be video. Would you rather always talk in rhymes or sing instead of speak?
I love to talk in rhymes.
I
do it all the time.
I think I'd sing.
Sometimes I like to.
Okay. Would you rather live without the internet or live without AC and heating?
Internet
gone.
Yep. Well, it's some AC.
Okay, you want to do the last one?
Last one. Would you rather find your true love or a suitcase with $10 million inside?
I think we've done that one before.
I think so. And unfortunately, you're supposed to say true love.
I already have my true love, so I'll take the $10 million.
Yeah, you don't need to find it.
I don't need to find it. I already have it.
You already got it. Make it rhyme every time.
Yep.
So the verse, being that this is the episode, we're going to kind of recap some of the stuff with the kids on. Verse I looked up was Matthew 19:14. I want to share 13 as well, so 13 and 14. But it says, Then people brought little children to Jesus for him to place his hands on them and pray for them. It's Jesus praying for children, it's just funny of Jesus. We pray to Jesus, but it's Jesus praying. Either way. But the disciples rebuked them, which to me is like, y'all quit that. That's me rebuking, I feel like
and that's exactly what he sounds like when he tells them to quit that.
Yeah. But Jesus said to the disciples, let the little children come to me and do not hinder them, for the kingdom of heaven belongs to such as these. That's pretty awesome to me that Jesus, he understands completely that these children have full faith in him. Whatever, they're listening to Jesus speak, they're listening to his teaching, they're soaking it all in. their minds aren't so polluted with everything else at their young age.
No.
That they are like, how can this be?
Yeah.
All this kind of stuff.
They don't question it at all.
No, they don't question it. They don't have all the doubts that you get as you get older. So I'm so thankful that all of our children came to know the Lord, to have a relationship with Him at a young age, because it is before their mind really gets cluttered with everything else, and all the other distractions get in the way.
Yeah.
They have that foundation there. Does that mean that they'll always be extremely close with the Lord? No, it doesn't. But that foundation is there, and they can always come back to that, and know that that's where their salvation is. So, but this episode, listen to their testimonies.
We were sitting like right over there, and I mean, it was hard not to laugh, and then to be like, "That's not what happened."
Yeah, because there was a lot of details that were either mixed up a little bit or whatever, So to kind of go through some of the highlights of that, I guess start with Abby.
Yep.
Since she's the oldest.
So she, we went to, which I think we've talked about before on another episode, of when we had changed church, like when we started going to a little bit bigger of a church. And so we had been going there not even
couple months,
a few months maybe, something like that.
Well, I feel like no, for sure less than 3, but somewhere in the 1 to 2 month range.
Yeah, and it, and she was like, hers was pretty close to accurate, as far as like we're just kind of at church, and then in the closing thing, she's like hollering at us from down the pew.
Yeah,
and just her eyes were full of tears, and she's like, I just asked Jesus into my heart, and I'm like, okay, and I'm trying to get on it,
and it's like Jenny said, I would say we weren't overly comfortable in the church where we were, because we hadn't been going there all that long. So it's not like we're like, what do we do?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we didn't, and it was just, actually, she kind of like caught us by surprise, really.
Yeah.
Hers was definitely the most just.
Yeah.
Okay.
She had asked questions here and there, but never, not like a lot of questions.
Yeah. And so, we waited, I think, till the next, I think it was a couple Sundays, because I think you may have been gone the next Sunday, to where, and I took her to talk to the youth pastor that was there at the time, because, me being doubtful, I was just like, she's only 8. I don't know that she really gets it. And so I had talked with him, and he was like, just come by, and I'll, we'll sit down and talk and everything. And so when he talked to her, I mean, like, she just
answered every question.
There was no doubt in her mind. Like, she answered everything, everything.
I remember, I wasn't there, but I remember you telling me that, and you were like, oh, she gets it.
No, I was over there crying, and he was, me crying, but, Matt and Abby's like looking at me, as Abby, like, look at me when I cry all the time. Like, just, why are you crying?
Yeah.
But yeah, so that just kind of comforted us that she really knew what she was doing at the time. And so a couple Sundays later is when she came forward, and then she was baptized. I think it was a couple months later.
It was on Easter Sunday that they did a baptism. Which she was, I'm trying to think.
It was in January.
It was in January.
Saved,
okay. Yeah, it was in January.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. So that was really cool. She got baptized on Easter Sunday, which was also nice, because we had a really, other than it being Easter Sunday, but had all of our family come and all be in church together, and we're usually all scattered out. So that was really cool. Yeah. No, it was definitely a great. I mean, to be baptized on Easter Sunday, I don't think there's a better day of the year, No. And then Parker.
Yeah, he would have been next. I can't remember exactly in his story of all the stuff.
Yeah.
his was definitely probably the one that was least accurate.
Maybe. Yes and no.
The thing with his, more than anything that I remember, was, again, he was 8, but was the message that Mark preached that morning, and that was know where you go when you go.
When you go, yeah. And Parker is 100% our most literal kid.
Yeah.
Like, no ifs, ands, or buts. If you tell him these are the rules, he doesn't want to break them. Like, this is the way it should be. That you don't waver from that. And so, I mean, and he asks a lot of questions.
All all the time.
All the time.
About every topic.
Every single thing.
Yeah. He asked all the questions.
Yeah.
And that was, at 8, I'll definitely, Abby's always been more mature for her age at every number that's ever been. So for her at 8, 9, 10 years old to sit in church, to pay attention for the most part, that's not really that big of a deal. It was not that big of an ask. With the twins at 7 or 8 years old, or at 10, to sit there and try to get them to pay attention is like, I have no idea what they're getting out of this. But that particular Sunday, Mark barely started in the message, and Parker's like, just locks eyes on him.
And we were in the gym.
That's right, yeah.
Our sanctuary was being renovated at the time, so we were in the gym, which is even more of a distraction. I feel like nothing was normal for what we were doing.
Right, just chairs in the middle of a gym. Go over here and pick up a basketball and dunk it if you want to during the during the service kind of deal. But yeah, that's what I remember about it was early into it. And he just sits still and he listens the whole time. And at the end of the service, he was like, Mama, did he tell us that he wanted to pray to receive Jesus, or did he tell us that he did? I'm trying to remember that.
He told us that he did.
He told us that he did. Yeah. And he went straight up and told.
Yeah, he didn't go up in front. He waited till everything was done.
Everything was done, and then
he went and talked to Brett and Mark both, just to tell them. And but he, again, he was. I know he was sitting next to me because I remember he's like his big tears.
Yeah.
So of course he's crying. What's Mom do?
Yeah, she's gonna cry.
But yeah, so Mark always tells his story that it was 2 years before.
Yeah, 2 or 3 years
before he came forward after he got saved, and so he was giving Parker a hard time about.
Like, why didn't you come up here? Don't be like me and wait 3 years. Yeah.
And so I think again it was. I don't think it was next week. I think it was a couple because I feel like you were. I think you were gone again.
Yeah.
So it was a few weeks before he went forward, and then
because that was in September.
Yeah, it was in the fall.
Yeah,
for
sure.
I think
Parker was September. I think towards the end of September.
Yeah. And so I feel like Abby and Parker are easier too.
Yeah. For sure.
And so with Lizzie, we've just kind of, praying that she gets it, or that she's taking it into heart.
That she's understanding as well as seeing the need for it. That's.
Yeah, she kind of beats to her own drum, and it's going to do it her way.
Yeah, exactly. And she's as sweet of a kid as she can be at times. She can be quite the opposite.
She's
intentionally.
She's our little Spitfire for sure.
Yeah, she definitely can be. So all during this time, and then now she does. I'm sure she was feeling the pressure of the fact that her siblings have already done this.
Yes, and Parker, I think it was like the same day we get in the car. Parker's like, well, you got 2 out of 3.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
dude,
that's
not,
no. Because we want it to be, we were really actually worried that it wouldn't be genuine because she was just going to do it because her brother did and her sister has. And so that was a really big. It
was a concern. That most definitely was. Because, we wanted it to be real for her, just like it was for the other two. And not to be, I'm just doing this because, I saw that they're supposed to. Mom and Dad were happy. So I'm going to,
don't want them to just be 2 out of 3.
No. And that's, and so, we didn't want just the pressure of that to get to her. And that's, Parker didn't mean that at all, obviously.
He's just stating facts.
Very literal. That's 2 out of 3, Mom. We got one more to go. Come on, sis. Kind of cheering her on, but also not realizing
the what he's. Yeah, I don't know. I just remember him saying it, and I were like.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. It's like.
How do we fix that?
Yeah. But it was with her. We had so that was in September when Parker got saved, and.
Kind of briefly. It had a whole lot of traumatic stuff, I would say, because 3 of
around
these events had happened.
Yeah.
In a matter of 3 months.
Yeah.
So, and after one of those events, we had 3 traumatic deaths. We put it that way.
Yeah.
1 we were expecting, 2 we were not.
Yeah.
And not immediate family, but just people we knew and were around. And so, I mean, and I know I didn't experience anything like that as a kid. Mm-hmm. So I was, I struggled bad. And so we were talking about it. And this is where Lizzie was correct.
Yeah. We
were going to Mexico, which is the Mexican restaurant down the road.
Yeah.
And so we were just talking about it, and she had asked me, because in this particular thing, a mother had passed away, and so she was asking about her daughter.
Who's not? She's how much younger than the twins? 4 or 5 years. About 4 or 5 years younger than the twins, and the mom's our age. Was pregnant with another daughter, and yeah, this terrible situation. But Lizzie was asking stuff about that, and that had happened, and that it had been weighing on her, and had been, God was, as terrible of a situation as that was, God was using it. He was for her. He really was. Each one of those, to me, and we'll talk about all of these more in another, so you know what we're talking about. But
but she kept asking, she was asking, is Mandy in heaven? We're like, yeah. And she's like, well, so I'm trying to get through it. Asking about Avery, which is their daughter. She's like, so if she goes to heaven, she'll see her mom again. We're like, as she gets older, as long as she accepts Jesus and everything, then, yes, she'll go to heaven and be with her mom. And so she just kept asking questions like that. Wasn't the first time. It had been several. And it's 7 minutes to Mexican.
Yeah. We're still in the subdivision.
Yeah, we were coming out of the subdivision.
Yeah, like I had just pulled out on the main road, or I would have just stayed parked.
Yeah. Good point. And so part, they're all in the back and everything, and she's just like, well, she gets kind of quiet, and if Lizzie, she's kind of, you can tell she's really thinking, thinking hard, and and I don't know if it was Abby or Parker had said something, and she said, well, I want to know that's what what I'm doing. And so I think Abby and Parker, of course, they were crying. Everybody was crying but Dad. I think
I'm driving. I had to make sure I could see the road.
And so we just all held hands with her as she prayed, and I had one hand on the wheel, and
but that was, she's like, I want to pray. I want to pray right now to do that. I'm like, go for it, girl. I said, do you want us to hold your hands? And she's like, yeah. And so I did. I had one hand on the wheel and one hand reaching back around behind the seat.
So that, I think definitely that was as a family, because we were all obviously very emotional and
super excited, and that was what we had prayed for, because we didn't want her to just feel the pressure of it. We wanted her to know it was genuine for her, for us, for everybody, and so that was absolutely an answer to our prayers for us for that to happen the way that it did, because she prayed. She prayed out loud, didn't she? Yeah, she prayed out loud. So it doesn't matter exactly what you say. It really doesn't. But it's just that acknowledging, that you're a sinner, that Christ lived and died for you, that that He lived a perfect life, but He did. He lived for you. He died for you. That He rose again, and but the exact words you say, none of that stuff really matters, other than just knowing that you're coming to Jesus, with your life laid down, and that you're taking up your cross, and that's what she prayed, but it was wonderful to actually hear that.
Yeah, because we didn't really hear what Abby or Parker said, or were thinking in their minds, or and so, and it for to be Lizzie, I think of all of our kids, because we were we're not sure. She's still our wild child, our little Spitfire, but yeah, it was just really special
to
get to experience that. And then the twins were baptized in March.
With their friend.
With Paxton, which is our good friends, their son, and it was actually his birthday. Mm-hmm. So that was really cool.
Yeah, because he got saved right around the time Lizzie did, or just a little after?
A couple months, maybe a month or so later, something like that. But
But then, so they all knew that they were going to get baptized coming up, and Sunday fell on Paxton's birthday. Yeah, well, we were actually had to plan it around your schedule. They did that too.
Yeah.
Make sure I was home.
Because they were getting ready to do, baptisms, and so our pastor was like, well, let me know when Ott's home.
Yeah.
So that way we can try to make sure. But yeah, so that was really cool to have the three of them baptized together.
Yeah. Which all would have been, what year would that have been? The twins were 8.
My Nana passed away in October. Mandy was
That's
January
right.
of 2020. So it was 2020.
I guess it was 2020, just that it was right before.
Yeah, it was right before everything
COVID
shut down because it was the 1st of March. So.
Yeah. So that's why I didn't think it was 2020.
Yeah.
It was right before everything shut down.
Yeah. So that's kind of the parents' take on the kids episode last week.
Right. Yeah. Just kind of us catching up on what they missed a little bit or whatever, a little bit of oversight. We don't remember all of it, but we definitely remember some of the key parts of it. But okay, I guess we'll wrap up. We'll share the verse again and wrap it up for this week. So, again, Matthew 19, verse 14. Jesus said, "Let the little children come to me and do not hinder them, for the kingdom of heaven belongs to such as these." So, all right, so that's the verse for this week again. And thank y'all for watching.
Yep.
And
come back next week.
See you then.
Yep.